That's why we are here. We're here to live a vision. And we've been talking about prayer all month. Yay! And prayer is about fulfilling our vision. And to recognize that that can happen at any time. I think a lot of times we have in our head these, when I do this, I can have the vision. We heard in the reading today, Ernest Holmes referred to the law, which I have not talked a lot about, but basically that's the energy, the Shakti energy that surrounds us all of the time. It's a creative energy, and it's always reflecting back to us our thought patterns, not just our conscious thought patterns, but our subconscious thought patterns, those deep ones hidden away, that it's a groove that we have. We all are, basically, when you say, who am I? Beyond the infinite I am, we're habit patterns. And so it's these habit patterns that are being put out into this energy field all of the time, and we're getting reflected back to us what we believe about who and what we are. And so prayer is about shifting those habit patterns, or opening up or expanding our idea of our habit patterns so we can start getting a different reflection back. So what we say about prayer is that our job is to know the what. We want to create the new habit patterns, but it's not up for us to know the how. This law, this creative energy will create the how. So we have to step out of that, because when that often limits us. Well, how is this going to happen? How is this going to manifest? That immediately blocks the energy, because now I'm in my thinking mind and I'm trying to control. So there's that surrender of knowing the what, anchoring in that, calling it forth, and allowing it to demonstrate in the way it needs to. Many years ago, in the early 2000s, I lived in Grand Junction, Colorado for a very short period, and I was working in the children's church there. And they were primarily little kids, but I had one or two teenagers in there, and there was a teenager. She was so quiet, never said a word every Sunday, and she was incredibly artistic. She won all sorts of prizes, and I got to see her. It was beautiful. She was also first chair. I was trying to remember this morning what instrument she played, but she was in the band, and she was first chair, and she was a straight-A student. So she was very talented, had a lot of gifts, but never would say a word, and I would just annoy her to no end, because I thought, well, you've got all these talents. What are you passionate about? And she would never answer me. She's like, and she wouldn't even say, like, I don't know. She wouldn't even talk. And so I'd come back the next week. So, Candace, can you tell me what are you passionate about? And so near the end of my time there, she finally said, well, I'm passionate about, I said she likes to watch TV. I said, oh, okay, well, what do you watch on TV? Well, I like to watch the Travel Channel. I like to watch all the different amusement parks with roller coaster rides. And I said, so you really like amusement parks? She goes, well, I just like the idea of traveling, trying new things and traveling all around. And that was it. That was, of the 7 months that I was there, that was pretty much our whole conversation, the most we've ever got. And it was so fascinating to me, because when I told the kids that I was leaving, and she just burst into tears, crying. And I was so shocked, because I thought she was so annoyed with me the whole time. But I think I was the only one asking her at that time of, what do you care about? Like, she was good at a lot of things, but what do you actually care about? And she didn't answer me because she didn't know what the answer was. That it wasn't because she hated me. She didn't know what the answer was, but it was a constant theme. So right after I moved, she sent me an email and said that her family was moving. Her father didn't make much money, and so they had to move to the city for another job, and financially they were struggling, and what I was telling her was, well, you don't have, and this is by email, we waited to have a conversation until I moved. I just said, you don't have to wait. Our whole teaching is that everything is possible now. There's no limitations. So just keep holding that idea that traveling is something you want, and let go of the how. And at her school, she was in the band, and the next thing I knew, they were doing a fundraiser to travel around Colorado for the band camp. So her first experience was she got to travel around Colorado because she was part of the band. Then we lost contact, as happens. So she had been going into 9th grade right when I moved. I didn't hear from her for about 2 years, and then I got this little postcard in the mail when she was a junior in high school. She said, oh, my band decided we created enough funds, and I'm in Italy now, traveling. And she ended up going to college in Switzerland, and she now lives in Germany. She speaks 4 languages. She could not have planned any of that, and she didn't have any of the finances for any of this to happen. And yet, by continuing to hold that idea that what she really wanted to do, what she was really passionate about was traveling, it happened. It happened through her music. It wasn't band that made her excited, but that brand playing a musical instrument in the band gave her the opportunity, was the vehicle for her dream to happen. There's no limitation to the how. We don't need to worry about the how. We want to focus on the what. Now that's for our children. I look at my mom, my greatest teacher. 2008, we know we had that huge financial crisis. It definitely affected her finances. 2009, all you hear about is all the unemployment that's happening. She gets a call. She wasn't struggling for money. She just lost some money. But 2009, she gets a call. An NFL coach, a former NFL coach, wanted to start a rehab clinic in the Cleveland Clinic. And he called up my mother and he said, I've heard you're a great director of development and I'd like you to be the director of development. So here's my mother. It's 2009 when all you hear about is unemployment, and she has people calling, and that was the best job, but she was getting jobs offered to her all the time. She was over 75. So all those ideas we have, I'm too old, I can't do this, or in fact, she's 81 now. Now she's very proud of it. And I happened to ask her, I said, so Mom, do you ever go on those internet dating sites to meet men? And her response to me, she goes, oh, I have so many men right now, I wouldn't know what to do with anymore. And what I hear from all the time is there's not that many people, but I don't know, they all seem to find my mom. But what she teaches me, why I say she's my greatest teacher, is because she has this energy and vitality. And ever since I was a kid, and it was just a belief system that somehow, I don't know where she got it, but she believes it so thoroughly. Harriet, it's the law of averages. Everything is going to work out. She has this thought, and she has said it to me a million times. I don't know where she gets it. That's the law of averages, that everything's going to work out. But in her mind, this is a true statement, and it does. For her, it works out because she so deeply believes it. She so deeply believes that everything's going to work out. And she lives her life that way, and I get to see how over and over she breaks the statistics. The things that you hear as the norm never has been the norm for her. She's never lived the norm because she believes everything's going to work out for her, and she just trusts that. And that's the point of prayer. I love the way Reverend Michael says it. The moment you start moving into your God consciousness, you are now breaking out of statistics. So you'll hear all this stuff about what is going on in the world, or how the economic system is, or the dating system is, or the health, or whatever it is for the common thing that you're hearing. None of that is true in God. God is free from all past precedent. So when we move into God, we are now moving into infinite possibilities. We not only may not know the how, I can almost guarantee we don't know the how. It almost never shows up the way we think it will. But if we trust in the what, and we hold on to that, and we believe it, not just in our conscious mind, but we want to keep at it so it goes down into our subconscious mind. So it goes into, even when we're not thinking it, it's thinking us. Like this whole, it's the law of averages that everything's going to work out. I don't even think she consciously thinks about it all the time. It's just in her. That's the whole point of this teaching, is that through these constant prayer, we're shifting what we believe deeply, emotionally, not just intellectually, not just conceptually. We start to feel it. So we have been talking about prayer, and I want to review really quickly. We have affirmative prayer treatment. We start with describing what God is to counteract all this race consciousness about what is true, that we've learned up until now. So we speak the truth about God. And if there's a certain area that you're working on, you may want to focus on that aspect of God. So I was using all month self-love, because if self-love isn't an issue, then know that God is infinite love. But if it's finances, health, you think it's impossible to become a fully enlightened being. God is always fully enlightened and awake. So focus on those qualities that you long for in your life. And it doesn't necessarily all have to be about normal human conditions. It can be big things, big spiritual purposes. So whatever that is, start describing the source of that. God, first cause. Describe the source of what is true. And then we unify with it. All that God is, I am. All this love that God is, all the love that we project onto Mother Teresa, all that love is within me. Whatever love we project onto Jesus, all that love is within me. Any love that we have ever seen out there, all of that is within me now. I don't need to do anything. Don't need to change anything. I don't need to make anything happen. It's already true. So those are those first two steps. God is all there is, and I am it are the most powerful, because that's the place that anchors us in emotion, in our heart, in our body, in our mind about what is real. And it's from that awareness of that oneness, and it doesn't have to take a long time, by the way. Sometimes it does. And sometimes you just feel it. God is love. I am that love, and it just flows. God is, I am, and then from that oneness, from that power and the intimacy of that oneness, we speak into this law of creation, exactly what it is we want to create. Not always exactly, but we're creating the what. I see it, I feel it, I know it. I know the what, and we just start describing it to ourselves. And then when we start to really feel it and know it, we can't, as we talked about last week, we can't help but feel incredible gratitude. As we heard in the reading today, when we prayed the way Jesus taught to pray, and Ernest Holmes is exactly right, it's not just what Centers for Spiritual Living is built on, it's what the whole New Thought movement is built on. We're praying, believing that it's already done. Have the faith that it's already done. So we get to that point where like, this is true, this is real. Even though I can't see it out there, it's true in the mind of God, and I know it. And I am so grateful for it. Thank you, God. And also that thank you is goes into the release. I often, even as I'm releasing, the gratitude keeps coming up, because that's the last stage. That's our stage today, which is, then I just release this word. I release the how. When we're releasing, that's what we're releasing. How am I going to make this happen? I don't need to make it happen. I've just declared the what, put all this energy into this law of creativity, this energy that surrounds me. I have held that with passion, and I am so grateful that I don't have to think of the how. That's the gratitude. That's why often when I'm releasing, I just feel so much gratitude, because I just let it go. I let go of feeling like I have to do this. Again, the reading, I don't know if you caught it when he was saying, if we thought we just had to do it on our own, it's too much. It's to try to change our life by ourselves is too much. But when we know this infinite power, this infinite creative energy is taking our word and doing the work, and it's not up to me, then we can relax and we let go. So it's a beautiful step. It doesn't take a lot of words, and yet just that release. Often I get much quieter at this stage. It's just so thank you. And I just release, I let it be. And that's why every time we always sing, I release and I let go. At the end of our prayer is just to let everything go and trust that Spirit's got it. Now, this is so much easier said than done. I was talking with Sheila. When I first became a practitioner, I was fortunately in the office with my first husband, who was great at speaking the truth to me. And I would go to a practitioner session, and every single time I'd come back into the room, and he was a practitioner too, and I'd say, oh, I should have said this, and I can't believe I didn't ask that question, and he'd just say, stop it! Let it go. Trust that what happened in there is exactly what needed to happen. And that was the hardest thing to do. And I have to do it when I give on Sunday talks. Oh, I should have said that. Oh, I shouldn't have said that. I wish I hadn't said that. Oh, I could have said that better. You drive yourself crazy. And see, this is what starts to happen. When we start realizing our words have power, then we want to get into perfection. Then we think, did I do it right? Did I say it right? Was it enough? Was my prayer work enough to make this happen? And so it's so hard to release and just trust, because I probably screwed up somewhere. And this gets us to our last, where I've been talking about the 4 kingdoms. And the 4th kingdom is I am, oneness. So I'll go through the 4 kingdoms again. The first stage is to me, which is the victim stage, where we feel like life is happening to me. My genetics are happening to me. My heritage, ancestors are happening to me. God is happening to me. I'm a victim to it all. So then we move into the second stage, second kingdom, which is by me. Now I start claiming what I know to be true. I'm pulling myself out of my history, the limitations of my past. I'm pulling myself out of race consciousness. I'm pulling myself out of the old ideas of what God is. And I'm claiming what God is and who I am, that I am one with God. I am now stepping into an empowering energy of discovering and claiming. That's the claiming what is. And then the third kingdom is through me. That the more we do that, we recognize that even as we're speaking what that truth is, we open. Prayer is often an opening. It isn't an ending, it's an opening, that as we're praying, suddenly we're allowing this energy, this infinite energy that has no past precedent, to start moving through us. And we start to, it's how artists create. We see Jack do it all the time. We're just suddenly, he's playing, and then suddenly you see this energy, he's surrendered, and the energy starts moving through him. It happens in painters and scientists, that where just suddenly you're so focused on something, but in that focus, suddenly something else starts happening. Writers, things just start happening. That's the through me stage. But that's not a victim stage. It's first you have to be the by me. First you're a master of your art. You're a master of the musician. You've moved from victim to I have some mastery over this, and now I can surrender. So that's what happens in prayer. I have some mastery over it, and I'm surrendering. And in that surrender, all this gratitude comes, and then we release. Because hopefully, so now we've spoken the truth, we've claimed it, we've been immersed in God consciousness. The last kingdom is as me. Now there's no separation. We don't know where God is and where I have left off. At the beginning of the prayer, I may be speaking the words. So this is where people get confused. I might speak God is, I am, but it's still concept. I'm calling that energy forth. That's by me. This is the second stage. By me, God is all that I am. God is everything, and it's all that I am. I'm still in control, but hopefully by the end, as we've allowed that energy to move through us, suddenly it's not me anymore speaking. I don't have to be in control, and I am it. I release it because God is all that I am, and I can't help but be the prayer. And that's where we start moving into not just waiting for it to happen external to us, but recognize that we are the prayer itself. We are the vision, as Jack was singing, be the vision. We need to shift from doing to being. And that happens first when these are the mystical states of consciousness. It happens first with God moving through us. So Jesus said, it's not I, but the Father within that does the work. Why calls me good? It's the God within. But he also said, before Abraham was, I am. I am the way, the truth, and the light. Then he was in fourth stage. Then he was in the as me. He was not speaking as Jesus, the person at that point. He was speaking as the great I am. And so there is that wonderful shift and he goes back and forth in his languaging. Sometimes when he's speaking, Lazarus, get up and walk, he's speaking as the as me. Then there's times when God's moving through him. So he's generally, if you look at his words, he's usually moving back and forth between the through me and the as me. Sometimes he's speaking as Jesus, where God's moving through him, and sometimes he's speaking as the I am that I am. Not from the ego place, not from Harriet talking about God being me, but literally speaking as the I am. So as we release and let everything go into spirit, we are at the same time remembering that we are that spirit. And hopefully we're feeling, at the end of that prayer, we're feeling that higher vibration. We're feeling that higher energy, that we've moved beyond just words. We've moved into something of just vibration of being. And then what we want to do is then carry it into our world, to carry that energy and trust that we are that life. I remember I was doing a visioning once, and I've shared this sometime in class, where I got the vision that I was to be a pulpit minister, which was, up until then, I was very clear I was never going to do. And it was at such a high place in that vision. It wasn't maybe or perhaps. It was clear. This is what you're doing. And I got up. I just remember getting up. I was so full of joy, so clear. And I immediately started getting my candidating package ready. I had no idea where I was applying. Up until that moment, the day earlier, I had swore I was never going to be a pulpit minister. But in a moment, it shifted because I just stopped. I stopped with my mind. I stopped with my patterns. I stopped with what I thought I should, which had been going on for years. It wasn't just like a pattern. I went through the entire ministerial training saying, I'm going to be a minister, but not a pulpit minister. So I was always looking at, looking at all these different things. And I've never been paying attention to the curriculums about pulpit ministry. It would have really helped. But I was so sure. So when I say I had to let go of that pattern, it wasn't like a day pattern. I was clear. And I told everybody I was clear. So, but it's changed like that. It changed in a minute when I just stopped. And I said, enough. I'm listening to God and not to my own mind. And that's what prayer is. At one point, we want to just create that space in the midst of the prayer. Is this me praying, or is there something moving through me that's speaking its truth? And am I listening to what's coming through? Because sometimes we may be surprised at what we find ourselves praying about. It may not be what our original intention was when we started the prayer. Prayer is transforming as we're doing it. In the midst of the prayer, we can be shifting internally. So by the end of that prayer, we are new people. And so we put feet on the faith. As Candace we were holding for her to travel, but she was in the band camp and did the fundraising, and she did the actions. I got the clarity that I was supposed to candidate, or I was supposed to be a pulpit minister. I just started doing the actions. But it was effortless. It wasn't like, now I got to do all this paperwork. I was so in the flow. And everything flowed from there. It was completely effortless the whole way through. All the blocks that I had up until then, completely gone. Because I finally said yes. And so that's when we put feet on our faith. When we trust that we know that we know that we know. And we walk in that knowing. We walk in the beingness of what we've just prayed for. The last story I just want to share was a story that I heard, so I have did not experience this, but there was it was some event happening at a church, and they had a young priest who was brand new get up and read the 23rd Psalm. And he got up and he read it perfectly. I mean, this was a well-trained guy. There wasn't all the nuances. It just flowed. And everyone said, wow, that was beautiful. And then to honor, there was an elder priest in the congregation, and they wanted to honor him too. So they asked him to come up and said, well, would you like to read the 23rd Psalm as well? And he did, and he stumbled through the whole thing and couldn't, he just couldn't get it out right and was pausing and tripped over his words. And by the end, everybody was crying because he was coming from a completely different place, which was not perfection. He was coming from this incredible embodiment of God. When we release, it's not about saying, did I say my words perfectly? It is not, did I do everything right to get what I want, to fulfill? It's about how the feeling that vibration of God. That's the only power that's in that prayer. Am I feeling the power and the presence of God as I speak that word? Am I so in control that I'm not allowing this new energy to come in? I so want what I want that I'm not going to let new energy in? Or am I willing, as I speak the prayer, to be in that release stage, almost through the whole thing? Like I always think of the last two stages, gratitude and release, as dynamic energies through the whole prayer. So often I begin prayers with gratitude. I'm just so grateful to be in this place where I'm entering into the recognition. And as I'm entering in gratitude, and I'm entering in with that released energy, I have an intention behind this prayer, but at the same time, I'm completely open to being made brand new by the end of that prayer. So we release it, and we let it be, and we trust this new life that is now walking as us. And so we see and know and feel ourselves walking in that new life. One little just quick, easy technique. We were talking since the beginning of January of having a mantra, a phrase that we say over and over. I find that helps after a prayer. So, because often after a prayer, we might want to, you plant a seed and dig it up. Is it growing yet? We don't want to do that. So just to let it go is start doing my mantra. I just so my mind isn't perseverating on, did I do it right? Am I perfect? Blah, blah, blah. Just do my mantra. Just let it go. I let it go. I let it go. It's none of my business. It's none of my business. And then we just, whenever we have an opportunity, we do another treatment. until we become this completely new person. And we become not God not only moving through us, but God as us. And people feel that presence when they're around us. That's what we're here to do, right? Become living mystics. That's the power of prayer. So my invitation this week is just to continue practicing and practicing and practicing, because practicing is the actual doingness of it. And as whatever prayer you're doing, however it looks, because this is brand new for so many people, recognition, unification, realization, those are the official steps, thanksgiving and release. Whatever you're practicing, knowing God, everything we've been talking about all month, let go of having it be perfect. God does not care if you did all 5 stages right. God doesn't care what you said. God cares what's in your heart. That's what matters. What's in your heart. And at the end of that prayer, is your heart more open than when you started? You know you prayed. So let us all pray together now. I'd like us to try again what we did last week. Would you? I think it's just nice to feel it. So let's just all stand. Let's all be in this prayer together. It's too much listening. So we're not going to, before last week we did I did the first step and second step. What I'm just going to ask is that we just all pray together again. I don't care if you got all the 5 steps correct. I don't care if however you say, the intention is by the end of this prayer, as you're all speaking out loud, is your heart more open than when you began? Okay? And we'll just do it all together simultaneously. It can be, and for those of you who weren't here last week, we're all going to be speaking a prayer out loud. You can either do it very loudly with energy, you can do it whispering. Nobody cares. It's a little confusing, but that's good. Get us out of that linear mind of trying to do it right and perfect and be confused. But just feel the energy of love. And then when all the voices die down, we'll go into, and so it is, amen, and Jack will lead us in I release and I let go. So just all take it. Let's just start with Om. So let's just all say one giant Om together. And now we speak our word. There is only one power, one presence. And I release, and I release, and I release, and I release. Thank you, God. And so it is. Amen.